Hey, anime addicts, it is the holiday season, and when you're doing your shopping on Amazon this year, why don't you head over to supporttheaddicts.com. It's going to take you to a page. You scroll down a tiny bit and click our Amazon link. Anything you buy on Amazon within 24 hours of clicking that link gets the podcast a royalty. So while you may not be able to support the podcast while you're doing all that shopping and spending all that money, you can at least think of us before you make your purchases on Amazon over at supporttheaddicts.com. Click the link, help us get a royalty, and you'll be helping out the show this holiday season. It's kind of like a little Christmas gift for your favorite podcast. Again, that's supporttheaddicts.com.
Get ready! You're about to listen to the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast. Make your anime addiction worse at AAApodcast.com. And now, here are your anime addicts.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 656 of the Hentai Addicts Anonymous. My name is Mason, and boy, do we have another humdinger of an episode for you today. Wait, hold on. Yes, that title, that was a reference to the show we're reviewing today. Yeah, Isekai Harem. Have you heard of it? Your friend told you about it. Okay, don't lie to me. I know you watched it. Wait, you're sure it's not a hentai? You're sure? I mean, fine, I guess it's a thin line. Yes, I watched the uncensored. I thought it was very well. Never mind, everybody. This is episode 656 of the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast, the weekly show to make your anime addiction worse. And we will be covering such a spectrum of anime today. There will be something for everyone. But speaking of everyone, the most very special of those everyones is my co-host Mitsugi. How's it going?
Oh my gosh, I am not so special. I'm just a man. Just like you, made of flesh and blood, and I realized my blood monster energy drink levels were a little too low, so we're gonna crack it open.
Ooh, rewarding the good people out there
with the peach monster. Now listen, I must apologize if I start to talk a little strange today. It's not because I'm hammered. It's not because I'm been smoking your grandma's sweetest Chiba. It's because I ate something I should not have, and I have like little blisters all over the bottom of my tongue, and it's very hard to talk when your tongue hurts. So I have some medicine on it right now, but it won't last the whole show. So it's a great time to talk for 2 hours just with you guys. I love you, always have.
Well, it's good news, Mitch, because this is only one of the longest podcast episodes we normally do, which is our winter 2023 selections. But before we get into all that, I want to thank everybody, the other everybody's, not just you, Mitz, who join in live where we stream on Twitch every Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern. All the everybody's on Discord, on Facebook, on Twitter, on TikTok, all those places to follow for that bonus content as well. Big announcements right now on Discord. The registration for Secret Santa is over. You missed your chance. You blew it, unless you got in which case, get excited. We're going to be sending out more info to that soon, as well on Discord and other places, I guess, if you're cool. We have the 2022 retrospective pull-up where you can list your top 10 shows of the year that will go into an upcoming episode. This is different than the Oscars. You get unlimited freedom, and you can go and do that pull right now. So if you've watched a lot this year and have opinions, we would love to hear them.
We're pretty close to doing our Oscars show. I mean, that's only like 2 months. Well, I guess it's only December 11th, so it's like 3 months away. So we're getting close. So
yeah, it feels like it's right around the corner, and that's what's important.
Yeah, the voting's right around the corner.
Indeed. So get hyped for that. But in this episode today, we do have a lot of stuff. We have, as mentioned earlier, our winter 2023 selections. We're going through all the shows from this upcoming season that we addicts will be watching. We'll be talking about an unexplored pictures from a Ghibli director that you might not have ever seen before. And we have a review of the impressively spicy Harem in the Labyrinth of Another World. So a lot of opinions to be had on this episode.
Tiggle bitties in the labyrinth in my backyard.
Massive tracks of plot.
Massive Kyonyu. Just sweltering, like, pendulous Kyonyu.
Indeed. And Twitch has mentioned there will be no podcast on Christmas.
That's right.
So normally, obviously, we record these every Sunday. Christmas just so happens to fall on a Sunday this year. So for once in your life, you'll have to make do without us. But we might have something planned to keep your air holes occupied for a bit of time. But I think housekeeping is over. We can get into this.
Merry Christmas. There's no podcast. Go fuck yourself.
It's canceled.
大ニュースです。It's time for big news of the week.
All right, guys. So big news of the week this week. There really isn't much, and we have a lot of anime to review here. So rather than come up with anything serious, I pretty much looked up a food item that came out in Spain called the Otaku Burger. It's out in Spain for Christmas, and we're going to find out whether or not Mason would eat this burger in our favorite game show of all time. So, Mason, I saw that you clicked the link.
I certainly did. The first thing I noticed is that the kanji under otaku doesn't say otaku.
No, it doesn't. It says celebration.
Gotcha.
So
I wonder if people were like, oh, that's what otaku... Nope. Neither of the words on that thing say otaku. It says celebration and it says delicious. So
KFC is trying to spread their Christmas custom to the rest of the world. Most people will know at this point that in Japan, it's a big time sort of things. People go and they get fried chicken for Christmas at KFC. I can't explain it. I went to KFC once in Japan, and that was enough because it was just horrible. Like beyond bad. So, but now they have a new otaku line of foods on their menu, starring the Otaku Burger, which I have photos that it's going to go on the Twitch for those of you that are kind enough to join the Twitch. You're going to get a bunch of photos. So it's just like some nice packaging. What I'm interested in with this first photo, it's not the strange box art on the burger box. It's actually the French fries, which look like they have barbecue sauce poured on them and then like basically minced ham, which I ain't gonna lie, looks pretty good. So
it looks like incredibly like the worst version of poutine I've ever seen. It looks like, oh, second grade, the school cafeteria is doing poutine day. And it's just like, oh, we took some of the week-old freezer ham that didn't make it onto the pizza and squirted out some like dispenser nacho cheese and put it on these like, they're not the thin, crispy fries, they're like the more wedge type fries.
I don't know what poutine is, but it has poon in it, so I laughed.
You've never had poutine?
No, and I'm also 8 years old.
That's fair.
So this burger, as I'm showing, is basically 2 giant pieces of fried chicken with like lettuce stuck on like a buttered bun, with French fries covered in, as Mason put it, poutine or whatever.
It's a dish that includes French fries, but we don't need to get into that.
Does this look like a burger you would eat? And does this seem to resemble an otaku to you? Because this is the Otaku Burger.
Yes. I would say this resembles an otaku. It is slimy, sticky. It probably doesn't taste very good. It's unhealthy. It's unappetizing. I don't want any part to do with it.
Mason's just laying down the fucking law here. He's like, oh, you heard it here. Otaku are slimy.
It's true, though.
Beautiful. Oh, my God.
Looking, most of the times, Mitz, you bring in these weird abstract foods, and I'm like, I'll try anything twice. I'll eat that. Like, what's the harm? The harm in this case is that it just doesn't look good, and not even in an interesting flavor way. It looks like it's just bland bread with poorly breaded and seasoned chicken with just like the most sad iceberg crumbles of lettuce. It just
Well, does it help you want to buy this if I tell you that the burger is $11?
No, I think that actually hurts it.
Oh my God. All right. Well,
Oh, geez. This is sad and depressing fitting of the otaku. So they nailed the name. I'll give
yeah.
it that. But
So every once in a while we do have no news, and I'll come up with something silly, but we don't need to spend any more time really on this. But this is the Otaku Burger. They're trying to spread their strange Christmas customs to the rest of the world. So good job, KFC.
and you said this was in Spain?
Yeah, it's in Spain.
Okay.
Who is
We
not in the
probably
World
have
Cup
some
anymore.
listeners there who can test it out.
Let me know on the Discord, guys. So it's
Please.
AAADiscord.com. Yeah. You just type it into your browser and you join our community within 10 seconds for free. AAADiscord.com. What the fuck are you waiting for? You hurt my feelings every time. All right, guys. Mason, are you excited?
No, to be honest.
Oh, I'm excited.
Actually, a little bit.
I'm excited.
A little bit. New anime is fun. New anime is exciting. I think we got spoiled with last season. Last season we had a ton of good shows, and now I'm looking at the horizon of winter 2023. And there is a ton of shows I am excited to watch. A ton of sequels. I don't like reviewing sequels though. That's boring. That's old hat.
Yeah.
Some of these sequels I think will be very good. Some of them I think are just too far away. So we are going to go through our picks for winter 2023. So the way this works on this podcast is we each made a list of like 15 or 20 shows that are coming out this year. And we roll the dice. Some people had fantastic luck, like Mitsugi. Some people had not fantastic luck, like myself. And based on our rolls, we get assigned the shows that we picked in an order where we got 7 shows each that we're going to watch the first 3 episodes of. We're going to talk about those 3 episodes when they come out. And from those 21 shows between the two of us and Caroline, who is not here at the moment, you might have been like, she's oddly not eating as many jelly beans as usual. That's why.
She ain't here.
Those will be the shows we pick for our reviews at the end of the season. So
I put all the picks up on the Twitch this time, so everybody can see them.
So you can witness.
I'm unsure how clear the text is, and if it's not clear, that's too bad. I can't make it any better for you. So
sucks to suck.
Sucks to suck. I do have clips from Pancake for every clip. She was particularly
fantastic.
She was particularly venomous this morning, but I actually chose some somewhat less venomous clips because I didn't need hate mail or anything like that coming at me on Discord.
Very nice. So, and this season is what, 2-3 weeks away?
I believe this season starts pretty much the first week of January.
Okay.
I think there are a few shows that come out. I mean, I can check right here for you. I think there's a few shows that come out maybe a little early as usual, but the bulk of the shows. So the first show that comes out is really Bungo Stray Dogs, and that's coming out on the 4th. So, and there's some other ones on the 4th as well. So the 4th of January is when this
3 weeks away.
Off. Yep.
So before I get into picks, I do want to run through some of the sequels that I will be watching because there's a whole lot of them. Oh Suddenly Egyptian God Season 2, which is another cute little short that no one's watched, but it is hopefully going to kind of redeem my disappointment in Season 2 of Molcar, because that's so tragically bad.
Oh, no.
It brings tears to my eyes. It's so sad.
No way.
Yeah, it's...
Oh, you love that so much. Oomph. That's so sad.
D4DJ All Mix, that's that CG idol show where the girls are DJs, and the first season was surprisingly fantastic, so I will be watching season 2 of that. I'll be watching season 2 of Inspector, which that show had way too much talking, but I like some of the ideas behind it, so this one is kind of on the chopping block. If it's not great, I'll drop it, but it could be good, and I like season 1. Agretzko season 5, it's been falling off slightly, but it's the final season. I gotta watch it. Bungo Stray Dogs season 4. It's actually been getting better, and I like books, so I'm gonna watch it. And finally, Sarune season 2. It's that archery boy show. Honestly, I barely even remember season 1. It wasn't that good, but I'm not gonna not watch the KyoAni show. So I will be watching a ton of shows outside of the podcast that I'll be talking about when we get to like the what have we been watchings, but none of those are on the list. So with that said, do you want to start us off, Mitz?
Sure. So I'm starting with my bottom pick, the last pick that I had. It was my 10th choice, so this is pretty far down the list. It's gonna, man. I don't know. I got a lot of isekais in there. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I don't know if it's. I did pick most of these based on the order of popularity, but I feel like there's just a shitload of these isekais. Like you can't escape from them. I mean, I think there's 10 of them this season. Literally 10. It's like a 25% of the season is isekai. So they're just attacking isekai from every possible angle now, pretty much. This one is called Handyman Saito in Another World. So Saito is an ordinary handyman that gets transported to another world where his skills are very useful. He starts to really understand what it means to be needed, I guess. He's going to come from a world where no one needs him, and his life's going to be all sad. And then he's going to get isekai'd. He's probably going to, like, fall off a ladder or something and die. And then he'll get isekai'd and be reborn as a handyman. Now, the trailer, honestly, I didn't think it looked too bad. It pretty much, doesn't really reveal much. I mean, it's just him, I guess it's him lock-picking a door, and then there's a chest inside, which may be like the bottom of the dungeon, if this was like .hack, and he lock-picks the chest as well, and they get the treasure, and there's a mage who looks like Gandalf, and a knight wearing armor, and a little pixie girl, and that's like mostly all that happens in the trailer. I mean, it's they reveal that the knight is a girl, and they're just gonna like go on adventures, I guess. I don't know. So I mean, it could be fine. I mean, I have no reason to think it's gonna be like terrible or anything. But it's done by Studio C2C, and actually, contrary to the norm, this is actually based on a manga. So it's a 4-koma manga as opposed to a light novel. So I don't know if that really like adds anything for you. But here is what Pancake thought in very venomous fashion.
This is another AI-generated anime, 100%. And the only big titty bitch I've seen so far is a tiny fairy, unless this lady's hiding some jugs underneath her knight's outfit.
There you go. That's Handyman Saito in Another World. Mason, would you like to take turns with Caroline's?
Sure, we can. I was going to ask for your handyman one, though. You think that's going to be more comedy focused, being based on the 4-koma, or do you think it's more just like slice of life?
The trailer didn't look very funny, so I'm guessing not. I haven't read the manga, but they look more like exhausted, like tired and sad than they do like funny in the trailer.
Okay.
I just think it's going to be this story where like he becomes useful in this fantasy world, and no one ever appreciated him in like Japan. So that's the angle they're going to take with it. So
okay, I can do Caroline's first one then.
Okay.
Her number 12 pick actually surprisingly dropped all the way down there. No one picked it up. Is the second season of Tokyo Revengers. We reviewed season 1, I think episode 597. It was like late in the 500s. Done by Linden Films. This will be airing on Disney Plus, and it's more Tokyo Revengers. If you haven't seen it, it tells the story of like Takemichi, this guy who is able to go back in time with a set amount of rules to try to influence this like youth gangster organization of, gang warfare to try to prevent the eventual propagation of events that will lead to the deaths of those around him in the present day. And I wasn't the biggest fan. It wasn't bad in some ways, but I think that's why it wasn't really at the top of any of our lists.
I mean, I never watched it, so because I don't know, I was in like, I don't know, doing something, and
it was a 2-core season 1, I think.
And so, like, why would I pick a show that I haven't watched season 1 of?
Mm-hmm.
And I already knew you guys were lukewarm on it anyway, so it's not like it had a whole lot going for it. Although it has reasonable scores online. Although it looks like they dipped quite a lot. Like, I remember this show had like an 8.5, and now I see it as an 8. And I'm like, something shitty must have happened at the end of that season. Because it bombed at the end. Anyway.
I mean, the manga is well received, well beloved, maybe because it didn't have super conclusive ending. People were upset by that, but
could be.
I don't know, but I won't have to watch it unless Caroline likes season 2. So
I think
hey,
there's better stuff. Probably that one's probably not going to pass.
I hope so, but we will find out.
All
I'm
right.
not too. My list isn't looking too hot. My first one on my list is Junji Ito Maniac: Japanese Tales of the Macabre. This will be on Netflix. It is obviously an adaptation of the famed horror mangaka Junji Ito. They will be adapting 20 stories, including Tomie Soichi, The Hanging Balloons, Unendurable Labyrinth, haha, Labyrinth. We can't escape it in this episode.
Oh, God.
Headless
Labyrinth
Statue,
of
and a bunch
Titties.
of others. So I like Junji Ito's works in manga form. I'm cautiously optimistic for the eventual, hopefully, Uzumaki adaptation. I'm less optimistic that that thing will ever come out. As for as this show goes, I'm not expecting much good content. It is the same studio and same director as the dreadful Junji Ito collection, which was dreadful not in the right ways. I know you kind of enjoyed it, but
I mean, I can't remember I can't remember much about it, so I doubt it was that incredible.
yeah, we reviewed it on episode 426, and what the best I think we can hope for is that we're going to get 20 episodes, one for each of the stories, and most of them are probably going to stink. Most of them are going to look slapdash, not scary, not dreadful, not spine tingling the way his stuff should. But a couple of them will be pretty good, and we can recommend those as like standalone horror episodes. But as a collective, I'm not expecting much. Maybe we'll learn some lessons. Maybe 2018's collection will serve to be like, oh, do this, don't do this, because there were a couple highlights within that batch. So hopefully we get the same here. But I'm not looking forward to it. It looks like just more bad adaptation of a good mangaka. So I'm not looking forward to it. But we'll see.
All right.
I'm just going for all of these low expectations and hopefully surprise.
All right. Well, for me, my next one here, it was my eighth ranked show, and that is Campfire Cooking in Another World with My Absurd Skill. So here we go. Another isekai. They're just slicing and dicing from different angles now. They're poking and prodding every possible way, every possible incarnation of isekai. Along with 3 other heroes, 27-year-old Tsuyoshi is transported into a fantasy world to rescue a kingdom from a mysterious threat. However, it soon becomes clear that Tsuyoshi has been dragged into the summoning ritual by accident. God, this is like... They can't even come up with like creative ways to get them into the world. It's always a summoning ritual from a king. It's like, God damn it! Like someone read the first one of these like in light novel form, and then just copied and copied.
I mean, it makes sense. Like you often hear like writing the first sentence or writing the first paragraph of a novel or book is like the hardest part, right? So if that's already been written for you, then perfect. You don't need to bother.
So his only skill turns out to be food menu, which allows him to open an interface where he can purchase and obtain food-related supermarket items from modern Japan. Unceremoniously booted from the palace, he sets out on his own into this new world. However, his ability to create delicious dishes unknown to this world soon pays dividends, even attracting the legendary wolf Fenrir. Fenrir is so taken in by the food that the creature immediately forms a contract with Tsuyoshi, becoming his familiar. So, done by Mappa. So that's why I picked this one, because it was Mappa. Based on a light novel. So the trailer, I thought this trailer looked really fun. It's pretty clear from the trailer what the story is. Here's your like really obese king who summons this guy. Then he just shows up in like a suit and confesses that he doesn't think he's really a hero. And now they show him like shopping for stuff. Like he can like open a screen like an augmented reality screen where he can like touch screen like Amazon buy shit. And then he's just like, the whole rest of the trailer is just him cooking food for like slimes and wolves and monsters and slicing really good looking beef and fish and making stew. This is going to be an epic food porn anime for sure. I really don't know. It doesn't seem like a normal isekai. Like they're not going to kill shit in this, I don't think. He's just going to like make food. So I don't know. It could be really good. I definitely was pretty high on it after watching the trailer. Pancake, however, was not so high.
No, you're not a hero. Of course, you're another black-haired MC. That's super awkward. And then you died and you get to do something else. Isekai Amazon 2-day shipping edition. That's what this anime is.
Here you go.
You're 2 for 2 on non-combat isekai so far.
I think it looks really fun and cute, and it could be a surprise. So that is, boy, it has a lot of titles here. Regarding, on my anime list, it's called Regarding the Display of an Outrageous Skill Which Has Incredible Powers, otherwise known as Campfire Cooking in Another World. So, Tondemo Skill de Isekai Horo Meishi. So, I can take Caroline's next one if you want.
Yeah, go for it.
I don't know anything about this, but High Card. She has picked an anime called High Card.
That's mine though.
Oh, that's Mason's. So
that's me.
Why don't you just talk about it then? Since
okay, I'll talk about High Card really quick. So this was a show that actually premiered at Anime NYC a couple weeks ago, but essentially it tells the story where the world order can be controlled by a set of 52 playing cards, and these playing cards have the power to bestow different superhuman powers and abilities to whoever has the cards. And there is a secret group of players called High Card, the title, who have been ordered by the king to collect the cards that have been scattered throughout the kingdom, presumably because if you gather all the cards, you have all the power, which means you can reign and rule and control the world. It's done by Studio Hibari, who hasn't done much. They did the movie The Stranger by the Shore, which I talked about in episode 584. It is based on a multimedia project, which is usually not a great sign. And it has not been announced yet where it is streaming. This seems like just a over-the-top, pulpy, mafia card, superpower, etc., show. Like, it is the same original creator as Kakegurui and Build Divide, so that should give you an idea of what to expect. Probably some overly dramatic moments, overly gaudy effects, anime as heck everything, and maybe a little bit fun. Low expectations for High Card, hoping to be surprised, as is the theme with everything here. Okay.
Caroline's next pick is well, she had it really for someone who had a good dice roll. She sure got it pretty rough. This is all the way down at number 10 for her. Saving 80,000. She's got an isekai. It's all isekai, Mason.
Look at her list. Look at her column. If you're on the Twitch, look at her column. Look how many words she has.
It's a ton of them.
Every single show has probably at least 10 words in it. She is isekai'd out the wazoo.
Yeah, this is like Pancake was like, "The fuck is wrong with you, man? You keep picking all the isekais. You're killing me." Caroline's got more of them than me. Fucking A, they're all isekai. You people, this is all, listen, I'm talking directly to you, listener. This is your fault. Stop watching them and they'll quit making them. I actually enjoy them. I'm not gonna lie.
Look how clean my list is. Not a single isekai in sight.
True.
It's the way nature should be.
Saving 80,000 gold coins in another world for my retirement. Wait a second. Caroline hated Realist Hero. That was all about like saving money and like managing finances. Now she's picking a show, an isekai show about saving for retirement. What is she doing?
I don't think it was the finances that was the problem with Realist Hero.
Gosh. One day, this is hilarious. I'm going to give her so much shit. By the way, everybody should give Caroline some shit for not showing up for this Harem review because everybody wanted to see her mortified. So let her know on the Discord. One day, Mitsuha falls off a cliff. Oh wow, that's violent, and is transported to a medieval Europe type world. After a near-death encounter with a pack of wolves, she realizes that she's able to transport between two worlds, this one and her own. Oh, interesting. Taking advantage of this ability, Mitsuha decides to live in both worlds and calculates that she'll need 80,000 gold coins to be able to retire. Now she has to come up with different ways to collect her gold coins. How about just move goods from one world to the other that are impossible to acquire? I solved your problem. It's like you could become the number one source of cheese. Just get it, buy it from the supermarket and teleport it. By Studio Felix Film, a fantasy isekai brought to you by Caroline. So, could be fun. Although all the characters look like moe girls pretty much, but whatever. My next pick is another isekai. I'm pretty sure.
What are the odds?
I don't know. This one's got a long ass title. Ayu o bu o kiwameru tame tenseisu soshite sekai saiko no minarai kishi, or Reborn to Master of the Blade, from Hero King to Extraordinary Squire. Brought to you by Studio Comet, a action fantasy show. From his deathbed, Hero King Inglis, the divine knight and master of all that he surveys, gazes down on the empire he built with his mighty hand. But he's getting ready to die because he's on his deathbed, so he decides that he wants to be reborn. His patron goddess, Alistia, hears his plea and smiles upon him, flinging his soul into the far future. Goddesses work in mysterious ways, blah, 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 whatever. However, he gets reborn as a little girl, as a baby girl. This is not the first, even close to the first show we've had where they're born as a baby.
No.
Anyway, so Extraordinary Adventure of a Lady Squire Reborn to Master of the Blade. So, done by Studio Comet, based on a light novel. I watched the trailer, of course, and I don't know. I think it looks okay. Like, I think all these shows look okay. It must be because I like fantasy shit, but I think the girl's character design is a little run-of-the-mill, I would say. A lot of the characters in this kind of look run-of-the-mill. It has some cool-looking action scenes. Unfortunately, some ecchi shots in the trailer that tell you a lot, I think. So we'll see. It's going to be a fantasy action show about this king that gets reborn as a girl, and he's probably going to is he going to comment about from his past life? I don't know. Whatever. Here's what Pancake thought.
You don't even have to look for a big titty bitch in this one. You are the big titty bitch. Holy shit. How the tables have turned now. Oh, yep, there you go.
All right. Interesting. So that is Reborn to Master of the Blade, from Hero King to Extraordinary Squire. Let's switch like that drop. All right. So we doing Caroline now, or are we back to you, Mason?
I'll just go now.
Okay.
So continuing my theme of picking shows that are very easy to say, I have a show called Buddy Daddies, and that's actually what it's called straight up. So
what?
It's great. And this one is a original work. There is no synopsis right now, but I want to give you the best set of tags I've seen on Mel. And these are the 2 tags for it. Ready? It's childcare and organized crime. That sounds like a winner right there.
Isn't it isn't this what House Husband was?
I'm expecting it to be more like Spy Family.
Okay.
So my prediction is this will be a tale of a young girl who is probably younger than Anya from Spy Family, who is in need of protection from the mafia, and she's going to be cared for and protected by a hapless duo of a heartless assassin and some charismatic schmuck that are kind of paired together to protect her. I don't know. It's done by PA Works, who has been slipping, but they redeemed themselves hard with 2022's Kongming and Akiba Maid War, so hopefully they keep it going. It's not yet announced what streaming platform it will be on, and there's not much to go on. I literally think it's Spy Family crossed with Appare Ranman. It's done by the guy who wrote Tokyo 24th Ward, so I'm expecting some really bad comedy. But I don't know. It could be fun. It's not an isekai, I hope. I don't know. Buddy Daddies? It's easy to say.
Yeah.
Low bar here. Low bar.
All right. Caroline.
The next one is Caroline's number 9 pick.
I got to do it, Mason. Let me do it.
Oh, hit it.
I have to do it. I just can't resist. Because just listen to this title. Apparently, disillusioned adventurers will save the world. This is what is Caroline?
That's almost as funny as the main character's name.
What does she do? The main character whose name is Nick. What what is Caroline doing? She's like, she hates these shows. This is what she hates. She's gonna hate this. Oh my god. The story begins with Nick, an experienced adventurer whose party is led by his mentor, Argus. Following the completion of their latest job, Nick discovers a chunk of the money has gone missing and realizes one of the party members is the culprit. To his surprise, Argus forgives the member and instead expels Nick after being accused of also embezzling funds. One night, after several weeks in a downward spiral, Nick ends up in a local tavern where fate leads him to meet three fellow adventurers, and after a night of drinking, they, go off an adventure, basically. So basically, let me get this straight. Caroline picked a show where a guy gets banned from his party and then joins like a probably
or
not
embezzlement,
and then goes and joins another not as good party. And the main character has black hair. It's so funny.
only herself to blame on this one.
By Studio Geek Toys, based on a light novel. So this is basically an isekai, or if it isn't, it's as close as it gets. So we're going to call this one the fifth isekai on the list so far. Now the question is, will this next one of mine be an isekai?
It has to be just an isekai, because there's no way Nick is a fantasy name. I mean, maybe, but
it just sounds like the plot of a lot of isekai, so
yes,
it might as well be. All right, this next one I think is where we start to get into some good shit here. This next one is going to be good. I feel confident in this. Done by Studio Signal MD. It's called The Fire Hunter. Hikari no O. And I'm going to pull the trailer up here so I can rewatch it. Hikari no O takes place in the aftermath of humanity's last war. The world is enveloped with a black forest, and people have become infected with a pathogen that causes them to burst into flames in the presence of natural fire. The only safe source of fire can be obtained by hunting black beasts, flame spirits, which reside deep in the forest. The story revolves around Toko, a village-raised girl, and Koshi, a former student in the capital. The encounter between the two, who are not supposed to cross paths, will change the fate of the world, based on a novel, not a light novel. And the script and composition is done by Mamoru Oshii, for what that's worth. Who is your Ghost in the Shell man. And the trailer the art style looks totally different than what you're used to in anime. It doesn't look like your typical sort of anime that you're, being fed nowadays. And it just looks like a very epic. It's going to be mind-blowing if this is only 12 episodes, because the trailer is just very big looking. There's a lot of different stuff happening that just makes the story look like it's going to be pretty grandiose. And I love the art style. I think it has a deadly serious tone. The music in the trailer was great, and I think Fire Hunter is going to be a really solid show. Now, can even this one quell the demon that is Pancake?
I'm in on this one. This is like your only not shitty anime so far. It was isekai with tits, and now we have like disease and like an actual like different style. First one without a black-haired MC, pretty much.
There you go. Even Pancake likes this one. Fire Hunter. Hikari no O. All right. Mason, you're up.
Yeah. Am I going to start getting into my good shows now?
We'll see.
Nope. Spoiler alert. Nope. This is Tomo-chan is a Girl. It tells the story of high school girl Aizawa Tomo, who finally manages to tell her childhood friend June that she's got a crush on him. Nice. We got a confession off the bat. We love that. Unfortunately, her confession goes over his head because until recently, he didn't even realize that she was a girl. She's just a super tomboy. She's done sports. She's done wrestling and judo and all that kind of stuff. So he's never really seen her as a girl. And the plot is probably going to be, what can she do to convince him that she likes him and is a girl? And this is done by Studio Le Deuce, who is fine visually, still has the funniest name of almost all the studios. Their most recent works, Heroines Run the Show, Fanfare of Adolescence, were like just okay at best. So I'm not expecting much. It's based on a manga, which is not saying anything exceptional, but the fact that that it was even getting an adaptation at all is kind of an unexpected surprise because this manga has been done for years. I don't think anyone was expecting it to get an adaptation. So good for the fans that it's getting something at all. So no matter what, win for them. And it will be on Crunchyroll. I think the show could go either way. We could get like a super fun, zany work by the director of Golden Kamui that it's just fun and ludicrous and just has all these hyper masculine people that are expressing, oh, this is what manly men are. And this girl is like, no, like girls can be that too. And anyone can be any way they want. And it's super positive and awesome and fun. Yay. Or is this going to be too dense to be enjoyable where every character is just dumb? Is it just going to be problematic delivery of gender roles? Like, what are we going to get? I'm hoping it's the former, but I don't know. I'm just glad that fans of the manga are getting an adaptation. It doesn't look great based on the PVs. The animation looks super stiff, but I'll watch it. We'll see. Who knows? At least we get a romance with a confession. That's a high enough bar.
Yeah, but if they don't hear it, if it doesn't get heard, what difference does it make?
That's a question, you know. If a confession falls in the forest and no one's around to say Daisuke, does it? Do they hold hands?
All right, Caroline's next pick.
Up
Go ahead.
Is her number 5. Kubo Won't Let Me Be Invisible. We have not an isekai, and it's another romance. Done by Studio Pine Jam, which I personally think has a super cool look to them. They don't put out a ton of stuff, but they're pretty neat. This will be on High Dive, so Mitsugi's favorite.
Why?
And the plot synopsis says, Shirashi has just one goal, to experience youth to the fullest. But this is easier said than done. Junta is so socially invisible that people at school would swear he skipped class, even when he's sitting right behind them. Everything changes when he meets Kubo. She's the only person who pays Junta any attention, and her constant teasing is sure to turn his life upside down. So it's kind of another similar romance between guy and girl where maybe the girl bullies him a little bit, or at least is way too fixated on him. I don't know, but it looks cute and it's got nice pastel colors and it's not an isekai. So I'm sure Caroline will be like, finally, an oasis.
All right. Next up is the 6th isekai or isekai-like show on the list here. Again, I picked these based on popularity, and this was the number 2 marked show of the season. So, blame yourselves. I'm talking to you, Mason, because I know you don't want to watch this. The second season of Misfit of Demon King Academy. That's right. Anos Valdi Goad is back, baby. He's back to fuck your day up. The Valdi Goad himself. Done by Studio Silverlink, based on a light novel. For those of you that don't remember what the first season of this was about, Anos Valdi Goad basically makes himself reincarnate, I guess, to put an end to endless conflict. And he gets reborn and joins the Demon King Academy, which is an elite school, and immediately acquires a small harem of girls, one of which is a homunculus, as I recall, but still plenty cute. And I don't know, magic battles commence with an insanely overpowered main character. So I don't remember what we gave this show before. I thought it was like very average. So I mean, that's kind of what I recall. And I'm surprised this has a second season, but boy, a shitload of people watch this anime because it's in the 200 to 300 range, the first season of the most watched things of all time, which is like a lot of people watch this fucking anime. So I guess it's not all that shocking that there's more. The Misfit of Demon King Academy season 2, it's back, and that was number 5 on my list. So Mason,
it's
back to you.
It's been a while since we reviewed season 1. That was back in summer of 2020. It was on episode 559.
Yeah. And did we give it good reviews?
You recommended it. I did not recommend it, but I will say in the pantheon of overpowered MC goes to semi-fantasy world and does their thing, this one was better than most.
Okay.
Like if you said, we're watching more Misfit at Demon Academy, I would not be jumping at the bit to watch it, but I would not be depressed and be like, I gotta watch that again. Like, I got to watch more episodes of him bringing girls back to taste their mom's, like, what was it, like a mushroom casserole dish or something? It was fine. It
It
wasn't the
was
worst thing.
gratin or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Mushroom
That's all
gratin
they
or
ate.
some shit.
Yeah, it was fine. Well, my number 4 pick is Spy Classroom,
What?
or
Oh, Spy Clash.
yeah, not Spy Family. We
Oh,
had
all
yeah,
right.
we had Assassination Classroom, then we had Spy Family, and now we have Spy Classroom. It's just it only makes sense. So this is done by Studio Feel, who hasn't made anything I've been into after like Hinamatsuri for a while. Our last review of them was on Remake Our Life, which was an awful show. This is based on a light novel, despite the short title, and it's on High Dive again. And the synopsis read: conflict-ravaged nations now deploy covert operatives instead of missiles. Lily, our main character, is recruited into spy training, but her skills are abysmal. So, desperate to pass the class, she leaps at the chance to join this new mysterious one-off maverick team who is full of even worse spies than her. And this group of misfits must conquer what's called the impassable mission to best their instructor. So, it's a spy show. Okay, who cares? I think espionage as a genre is pretty fun. I think often though it's not done very well. Like I think people say, "Oh, spies are cool," and they are, but then they don't do anything cool with the spies. They have a couple high-tech gadgets and that's it. That said, this cast seems to be primarily based on the poster female, so I'm picturing like an edgier, mass-produced waifu version of Princess Principal, which wasn't a bad show, but could have been a bit better. I feel like this show, similar to High Card, will be a little more on the edgy side and hopefully less campy than that. So it's directed by uh, Keiichiro Kawaguchi, who is probably the most bland, uninteresting director I've ever heard of. Like on his page, it's like this guy is known for making a ton of projects go at once, but none of them are good. None of them have any sort of style or like vision to it. They're just like a stamp of we must produce anime with no content or soul. So I don't know why I picked it. Once again, just an easy title to read, but some people are kind of excited for it, even though none of the source material has good reviews. So what am I doing out here? I don't know, but I'm doing it.
All right. Caroline's next show is one that I don't really want to watch, but I'm guessing Caroline does. Oh my god. With the longest title ever. I'm not reading this shit in Japanese. This is way too long. God damn it. I'm doing it.
The Madman.
In one breath. Tsundere akuyaku reijo ristore to jikyo no endo kun to kai setsu no Kobayashi-san. There you go. Or Endo and Kobayashi Live, the latest on Tsundere Villainous Lisa Latte. What fucking kind of a name is that? On the outside, Otome Villainous Liso Latte seems foul in every way, a purely evil character. However, as it's revealed in her diary, she was always hiding both her pain and her true feelings for Prince Sigurd. In other words, she's a tsundere, as is in the title. Broadcasting club members Endo and Kobayashi decide to play a game in another universe. Prince Sigurd hears their voices, believing it to be a divine revelation from a god and goddess. These voices clue him into something he never noticed before. Lise Stolette is actually overwhelmingly adorable. I feel like some drop was warranted. There we go. There are no resets in this game, and just one chance to change the future of the ill-fated villainess. Okay. But I'm from Studio Sentai Filmworks, which means it's probably also on High Dive. I think Caroline hates me. I'm pretty sure she hates me. Why 2 High Dive shows? They're like landmines that you have to try to avoid. Or you just go to like some pirate site, probably. Based on a light novel. So, there you go. It's, the actual studio is Tezuka Productions, but it's licensed by Sentai. So it's probably on High Dive. All right. Okay.
Top 2 shows for everyone.
Yeah, mine is not looking too hot here. So, Picked this one again because you wanted me to, I guess, somehow. By you, I mean like a million people, because this one had a lot of people marking it, and yep. Well, I guess an average amount. Trigun Stampede is my number 3 overall choice. And Trigun is a classic anime, people. I mean, it came out in the late 90s, around the time that Cowboy Bebop came out, and people loved it. It was a big title on TV. It was big. Bash the Stampede was a huge cosplay icon, basically. And this one doesn't look very good, you know. So, I mean, I watched the PV, and it's CG. Completely CG. And it's done by Studio Orange, which doesn't mean that, which is I think, a good studio, but nobody wants to watch CG, you know, honestly. So Vash Stampede is the man with the $60 billion double dollar bounty on his head, because he's a merciless villain who lays waste to all those that oppose him and destroys cities and all this blah, blah, blah. Called the Humanoid Typhoon. You know, he leaves a trail of death and destruction, whatever, blah, blah, blah. With his crazy donut obsession and buffoonishly attitude in tow, Vash the Stampede traverses the wasteland on the planet of Gunsmoke, all while followed by 2 insurance agents, Meryl Strife and Millie Thompson, who attempt to minimize his impact on the public, but soon their misadventures evolve into life-or-death situations as the group of legendary assassins are summoned to bring about suffering to the trio. This one, you know, it started off looking like a remake because it does like flashbacks that are in the first one, and I'm thinking, oh, this is a remake for the most of it. And then at the end, they say, oh, an all-new story. And, you know, I remember when the Badlands Rumble movie came out for Trigun, and I watched it at Otakon and thought, this is not that good. Like, it didn't hold up super well. And this doesn't look even as good as that. So I don't know why we deserved a remake of Trigun. There's no freaking way they're going to be able to, like, capture what they did the first time. So it's pretty tough target to aim at, honestly, because Trigun is a classic, and it'd be kind of like making a sequel to Cowboy Bebop, like, good fucking luck. You know, maybe not to that extent, because it's not that popular, but we'll see. We'll see what Pancake said as well.
The premise to me is, you know, fine, whatever, but it just has no heart. It just looks kind of soulless and ugly.
There you go. Yeah, Trigun Stampede. This one's a Hail Mary for sure.
Yeah. I'm interested, though. I'm invested in it doing well. I want it to succeed, but
that's
why
I picked it. So we'll see.
Thank you. My number 3 pick is Kaina of the Great Snow Sea. This is also a CG anime. The difference being that it's not based on a beloved franchise from 2 decades ago with a very established and loved art style that it might have to trounce all over to be a CG thing. That said, this is done by Polygon Pictures, who has been stepping up their game. They did Ajin, did the Godzilla movies, they did Drifting Dragons, all of which have been pretty solid works. It's based on a manga, and this will be on Crunchyroll. And it tells the story, just like outside my window right now, of a world blanketed in endless and ever-growing ocean of snow. The people are eking out a living, either huddled around like the roots of this massive tree, or up in the canopy, which kind of spreads over the atmosphere of the entire planet. And essentially, it says a chance meeting between a youth from the canopy and a woman from the surface set off a chain of events that will change the fate of the world.
Why is it always like that? It's always they're going to save the world, or the fate of the world.
Yeah.
Or you know, good Lord, not everything is that epic.
Exactly. That said, I am actually excited for this one. It's done by Knights of Sidonia creator Tsutomu Nihei. It's done by Ajin director Hiroaki Ando. So it's got some good people behind it. Yes, it is CG. Yes, it looks a little choppy. Yes, the characters look very plasticky and bulbous sometimes. But I don't know. I feel good about this one. Maybe because it's, you know, it's snowing in the show. It's snowing outside. I like that parallel. It doesn't seem to be an isekai. It doesn't seem to be some weird medieval era fantasy. It doesn't have to hopefully be people just screaming and fan service. Like, hopefully it's just a good show. Similar, if it's like Drifting Dragons, I'll be happy. So once again, that's Kaina of the Great Snow Sea. Oyukikumi no Kaina. So I don't know. It's probably fine. I'm hoping it's good. Please be good. I don't have many other good shows on this list.
Yeah, Polygon Pictures. I mean, they're probably what are they? They're probably the premier CG studio. I mean, they've been. Doing...
I mean, to me, they're the best CG studio that isn't named after a fruit. So, I like Studio Orange. I think they do great work. So, I don't know.
Caroline's
Want me
next.
to do Caroline's?
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
We have her number 3 pick, the Ice Guy and his cool female colleague. Ooh.
Oh my god.
The setting is a workplace where a snowy white romance blows in like a blizzard. And if that is enough to make you just stop reading the plot, I don't know what is. But it's a romance. It's not an isekai. It's done by Studio Zero G. It's on Crunchyroll. It's not High Dive. See, that's a win. That's a win. That's a good thing.
It's a Square
Did you watch
Enix
the trailer
anime.
to this one?
This is a Square Enix anime. It is dead in the water.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, I didn't watch this romance, and it's that's all you need to know.
I'm gonna pull up the trailer right now, though. Have a look at it. I mean, I'm not gonna talk shit, really. I mean,
so it looks like the guy literally has superpowers to like freeze things and frost things over, and when he starts getting feelings, when his Kokoro goes doki doki, he ends up just icing people, which is not a Smirnoff related thing or a Mr. Freeze related. Well, maybe it is.
I mean, the girl's hot, so maybe that's probably not helping things.
Yeah, what's
She's too hot for him.
I'm blanking on that like romance workplace show where they played video games that everyone liked.
I don't know.
It was
High Score.
It doesn't matter. No. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's a romance. You get it by now. We don't need to say it.
I just can't imagine anything more that will put me to sleep quicker than a romance about a Japanese business. But again, whatever. Vinland Saga season 2 is my number 1 pick. Pretty obvious. Somebody was gonna take it. The trailer looks amazing. It's done by Studio Mappa, and I fully expect it to be probably the best anime of the season. If it isn't the best, it'll be up there for sure. And this is the number 1 most tagged anime of the season by quite a bit.
What is the percentage that you're passing this?
Probably 70%.
Really, that low?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Interesting.
Well, because I'm not 100% convinced yet. I mean, like, spoiler alert for in Vinland Saga season 1, I guess. Like, so skip ahead 2 minutes if you haven't seen Vinland Saga season 1. But they pretty much, like, only the lamest character in the show is left. I mean, Thorfinn was never a cool character. He's just a whiny little bitch for most of that first season. And now he's the main character, and most of the cool characters won't be in season 2 for various reasons. And so that's why I'm skeptical. Like, the trailer is really epic, so they're probably going to bring in more cool characters. But I'm not a Thorfinn fan. He's very similar to Atreus from God of War. He's just like this whiny 12-year-old edgelord that just cries and bitches and curses at you and then gets bitch slapped in his face and knocked down, and then he gets up and then he mouths off again, and he's just like an annoying like adolescent. And I know he's gonna grow up and be like a badass probably, but even still, I think it's probably gonna be the best show of the season. So, and if you haven't seen Vinland Saga season 1, like, what are you doing? Like, pretty much go watch it, because it's pretty fucking good. So, they did change studios. It was Studio Whip before, now it's Studio Mappa. So just be aware of that.
What a surprise.
Mappa, they're poor employees. I would not want to work there.
They just announced they're doing One Punch Man season 3 too.
Well, if there's anything I know from One Punch Man season 2, it's that we need another season of One Punch Man. Also, I am the most physically ready One Punch Man cosplay in the world. I am bald.
Yeah, probably.
I am bald, and I can do 50 one-arm push-ups. So, let's fucking go. So let's go for it. I actually promised people on the Discord I would cosplay Saitama this next year for Halloween. So pretty
Our
easy.
hero.
It's definitely easier than wearing fucking high heels for 4 hours. All right. The only other thing I'll say about that Villain Saga Season 2 is that Shuhei Yabuda is the director, and he has done a lot of other directing. So it should be pretty good. He's definitely it's not his first rodeo. There are more prolific guys, but he's definitely done directing before, so it's not like a first-timer. Mason, what's your number one pick?
My number one pick, which was my number one pick, is
Yes.
Nier Automata version 1.1a. This is an adaptation of the game. I think it's Square Enix, right?
It is.
It's a Platinum game, though. It's done by A1 Pictures. And I didn't watch Lycoris Recoil with you guys, so it's been a while since I watched A1 show. It hasn't been since Kaguya Season 3 back in the spring that I've watched one of their stuff. Watched the trailer. It was too short to really get a judgment of what it is, but essentially, if you've never played the game, highly recommend it. I really enjoy it. It tells the story of these alien machine forces that are coming to invade the remnants of humanity, and these androids have to fend them off and fight it off. And it's just very much a action show, but also coming to terms with what does it mean to be an android? What does it mean to have humanity, dreams, pursuits, all that kind of, what does it mean to be human kind of stuff, while also looking up people's skirts. All the classics of what we want out of a weeb game. And really, this whole show can just be summed up that this is just a waifu alert show. Like, you're going to start the show, wee, the sirens are going to come blazing out because this is just a show to sell more 2B merch, and it's going to work because obviously it's going to work. It's 2B.
Because she's blindfolded and wearing a skirt.
She is going to win so many waifu award contests. It's not even funny. And by that, it's not. It's going to be awesome. I have very mixed feelings about the show. The game is good. The story and the mechanics of the game are good. The story of the game is elevated by the virtue of it using storytelling devices and avenues that are inherently tied to what a game can offer. The game can tell stories in a way that an anime can't. And I'm curious to see how well an anime can replicate some of those moments. I feel like this will be a clear-cut game or situation of the anime being pretty good, but the game is just going to be better. So I think it will just be an inferior product, but it's just a lot of good minds working this. So I hope it surprises me, and I hope at the worst it just inspires people to play the game, and it doesn't inspire me to eat mackerel, because that would be truly tragic. Nier Automata.
I was never a big fan of the game, honestly. I bought it, and it just felt like a button masher, sort of.
Yeah, kind of, but I think there's a lot of depth despite those stories that it's worth telling. So I hope it's good. I was going to make a comment earlier. I completely forgot. Anyway, you want to take Caroline's number one?
Caroline's number one pick is Bofuri Season 2. Another anime with an insanely long title, Bofuri. Itai no wa iano de bo gyoryoku ni kyoufu furi shitai tomoimasu. Season 2. Done by the same studio as the first season, Studio Silverlink, based on a light novel. This is basically an isekai. I mean, it's an MMORPG, but we just put it in there. I mean, so we officially have 7 of these. And Maple is back, along with Sally and the gang, to bring you more adventures into the world in the MMORPG called New World Online. I actually enjoyed Bofuri Season 1. I thought it had really exceptional action scenes that kind of came out of nowhere because I didn't really expect it, honestly. And I thought Bofuri Season 1 was a lot of fun. Those action scenes continued to impress me, and it got kind of melee-like at the end. There were an awful lot of people wailing on each other at once. So this has definitely got a good chance of passing. Caroline likes Bofuri. You know, and it's pretty much the number 3 most tagged show of the winter. So, it's probably going to get listener choice even if she doesn't pass it. So, yeah, it's the number 6th most tagged show of the season, but a couple of these shows aren't really eligible. So, no one's going to pick Nagatoro-san season 2, and we're not going to do Bungo Stray Dogs, thank God. So, all right, Mason. How do you feel about this season? Do you have any like overarching thoughts?
Yeah. So before I get to that, I do want to mention the show I was thinking about earlier with the workplace romance with like video games with Wotakoi, Love is Hard for an Otaku. That's it'll drive me nuts if I don't remember that. Chet also reminded us, Vinland Saga is now on Netflix and dubbed. So if you've never watched season 1, it's not on like Amazon Prime or whatever it was before. So it's a bigger audience. That said, as you could kind of tell by my picks, despite getting a lot of my top picks, I won't really have too many high hopes this season. I'm just very skeptical, and I think some sequels will be good. I think Vinland Saga will be decent. I think Nier will just look visually fantastic. I'm very interested to see how the CG of Kaina and Trigun works out, but man, nothing is like, I will be there week to week, excited to watch that show the way I've been the last couple seasons. So, doubts, a lot of doubts.
I kind of feel differently. You know, I'll be the good cop.
Whoa! I thought we were doing bad cop, worst cop.
Well, sometimes we do play that game.
Yeah.
Actually, you know, first of all, this is clearly a very isekai heavy season. You know, I'm sure there's a few we didn't even cover today, so there's probably like more like 10 of these that are either isekais or they are the same thing as an isekai. They're just not officially transported to the other world or whatever, of which I would include Bofuri in that category. But I feel like this season is looking good. I actually wonder how I'm gonna manage to pass only 2 of these, because Vinland Saga is going to be clearly a contender. The Fire Hunter or whatever the hell it's called, Hikari no O, it's going to be a contender. And I know that at least one of these isekais that I have is going to be really fun, and I'm going to want to pass it. So I really don't know how I'm going to be able to pick. You know, from just pick 2 of these. It's going to be tough. You know, Nier Automata might be good. I thought that your High Card show sounded good. Bofuri sounds good. Caroline had a couple others that looked good. So I don't know. I feel like there's a lot this season. And we're gonna have to see. But I don't know. Any season where you've got Vinland Saga is not that bad. So yeah, it's not all bad news, and I think Vinland Saga probably will be the best of the season. But I'm gonna stick with the Fire Hunter. I really think it's looking good, and I'm gonna say that's gonna be like one of the better shows of the season that people probably aren't really paying attention to.
That's your hidden gem. Okay, we'll see.
Yep. Well, would you like to give out the trivia so we can go to our news break?
Certainly. The trivia for this week is, what town has the first labyrinth that Michio explores in the anime Harem in the Labyrinth of Another World? We'll let you know the answer after a quick break. See you soon.
Hey Anime Addicts, this is Mitsugi, and it's time for your anime news break, starting off with a new anime adaptation. The manga 2.5 Jigen no Ririsa is getting a TV anime in English, 2.5 Dimensional Seduction. Wow, the manga is getting adapted into an anime. This began serializing in Shonen Jump Plus on the website back in June of 2019. It has around 2 million copies in print. The synopsis: I have no interest in real-life girls, claims Okumura, the president of the school's manga club. He's your typical otaku obsessed with a sexy, fictional 2D manga character known as Liliel. Then this new school year starts, and a real 3D girl named Lisa, whose passion is cosplay, joins the club. Holy shit, it's Dress Up Darling. All right, we will have to see how this one goes when this anime comes out. She also has red hair, which is pretty funny. Next up, Ken Akamatsu says the Japanese controversial invoice system that we covered on the podcast a few weeks ago likely cannot be stopped. So Ken Akamatsu campaigned on a platform of opposition to Japan's controversial new invoice system. And by the way, Ken Akamatsu was a prior manga artist, for those of you that don't know. He wrote on Twitter that the hurdle was pretty high. Even within the party's tax system's research council, there have been strong opinions about delaying and stopping the invoice system. However, this hurdle is high and hard to achieve, at least from a legislative perspective. Reading on, it looks like they're going to review the effects of the law, and if it is particularly adverse to some people, they may do modifications to it. However, it looks like there are people on the taxation side of the law that have no motivation to act, according to Akamatsu. So we'll have to see how this one pans out, and we'll keep following the story as it unfolds. Next up in the news, Crunchyroll has added more categories to their Crunchyroll Awards, which I'm sure will make the award show even more difficult to watch and probably twice as long. The new categories are now Best Anime Song, Best Continuing Series, Best Original Anime, Presenter's Choice, Special Achievement Awards, Must Protect at All Cost Character, which is basically just the Moe Award, Best Main Character, Best New Series, Best Supporting Character, and then 700 other categories that they have awards for. So every anime will win an award this year for the Crunchy Awards, and you'll have to look out for this when it comes out on March 4th. Lastly in the news, another new manga is getting an adaptation, Sentai Daishikaku, or Go Loser Ranger, is going to be getting an adaptation. 13 years ago, the nefarious monster army invaded Earth, but humanity's great protectors, the Dragon Keepers, defeated them in every single year. Every Sunday since, the monsters have been forced to act out humiliating defeat after defeat in front of the unsuspecting public. Determined to change just a single monster, D infiltrated the Ranger Force with the help of the mysterious Ranger Suzuki. They managed to seize one of the defined artifacts, blah, 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 whatever. So, Sentai anime, action, the villains strike back. It's a sci-fi action manga that was released on Shonen, Weekly Shonen Magazine in February of 2021. If you're a fan of this type of content, look out for Go Loser Ranger or Sentai Daishikaku coming out next year. This was Mitsuki, and this was your anime news break. Now time to get back to the podcast. Anime addicts out there, it's the holiday season, and that's why the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast has launched its Amazon affiliates page. You may not be able to support the podcast by subscribing, but when you go to shop on Amazon, don't forget to stop over at www.supporttheaddicts.com. You scroll down a little bit and click our Amazon link. Anything you buy off of Amazon within 24 hours of clicking that link will earn the podcast a royalty, money taken straight out of Amazon pockets and given to your favorite Anime Addicts hosts. Again, that's supporttheaddicts.com. Go ahead and bookmark it on your phone, and every time you're going to buy something from Amazon, even after the holidays, remember just to scroll down a bit, click that link, shop away, and support your favorite podcast over at supporttheaddicts.com. Welcome back to the podcast. When we left you, we had a trivia question. What town was the first labyrinth that Michio explores in the anime Harem in the Labyrinth of Another World? And the answer is Vale. V-A-L-E. And one more time, guys, we really want you to join our Discord. So, hey, listen, you can join the Discord. You don't like it, you can just leave. It's free. Free and easy. AAADiscord.com. Go to your phone right now. I know you're on your phone. I know you're listening. I did a survey a couple years ago. I know that like 93% of you listen on your phone. So pull that phone out, go to Chrome, go to Safari, whatever you use, AAADiscord.com. Boom, you're done. Be a hero. Join the Discord. It's free. Make some friends. Oh boy, Mason's about to talk to you about a very classic film from, I can only imagine it must be Takahata.
Indeed.
Guess. And I haven't
Very
seen
good
this.
At this.
I haven't seen it, but it just seems like a Takahata film. Mason, let's hear all about it.
Get your popcorn ready. It's time for Unexplored Pictures with Mason.
Yes, this is once again the time where I talk about movies, new and old, and just all around undiscovered that I want to share. This movie today is called Gauche the Cellist. It's just over an hour long, so it's a pretty short movie, and it's from 1982. It's the adaptation of a short story by Kenji Miyazawa, who is, amongst other things, a novelist, who also did the much more famous Night on the Galactic Railroad, which is obviously the source of a movie of the same name, which I talked about in episode 558. Very cool, very astral. Check it out. But this one, Gauche, is set in rural 1920s Japan. Gauche is a subpar cellist who plays for a small-town orchestra, and he kind of struggles during rehearsals, and his conductor is always pissed off at him. He's always like, you're behind the beat. You're not playing with this passion or emotion, or you're missing these cues, and just kind of just yells at him. You know, it's not great. And particularly because the group is preparing for an upcoming performance of Beethoven's Sixth Symphony, and the conductor just needs it just right. And so Gauche is feeling a bit down, feels a bit like an outcast. He's kind of letting down this whole ensemble, and he returns home to practice, and kind of like Aoi from Arashi, he goes home and he just practices willy-nilly. He doesn't have any finesse, he doesn't have any planning, he just brute forces it, and it doesn't really work out. But over the course of 4 nights, he is visited by a talking animal on each night, and each comes with him for a request to play something. And each request kind of teaches him something about music beyond just the notes. Whether it's rhythm, or pitch, or emotion, confidence, whatever it is, each kind of encounter with an animal makes him a little bit better as a cellist and as a human. And I'm not going to spoil what happens at the end, but it is a short, sweet, calming, and impressive little film from the early 80s, and it's far from perfect, but it's got heart, and it does it right. You know, it plays a lot of good notes. So, reasons to check this movie out. 1, if you're into classical music at all, it's very well expressed. There's a lot of just long passages where all they play is music, and it's nice. It's neat. It's pretty cool. A lot of the animators of this film would actually took like cello lessons in studying so that they could actually capture the finger movements and just little nuances to playing, which is, I think, a great attention to detail. There's a bunch of cute little critters. They're a little cartoony looking because like a cat will look very much like a cat, but then the face will not look like a cat face, and it's a little funny, but they're kind of adorable. There's this little tanuki that plays drums, and he's just the best. This is one of the earlier works directed by Isao Takahata, as Mitsugi guessed, of Ghibli fame. So if you like seeing where Ghibli people came from, this is definitely worth it. And it just has that old school animation and attention to detail. And it's a reminder that anime is not all about screaming and fan service and isekai. And it is pretty neat. So once again, Ghost the Cellist, not a perfect movie, but for only an hour long, it's got some heart to it. And it's worth checking out. So I liked it.
And where did you watch this?
On the internet, because it is not streaming legally anywhere at the moment.
I feared that. Come on, Retro
Sometimes
Crush.
I try to find them, but it's not on Retro Crush.
I actually canceled Retro Crush because I think I'd seen everything on there I wanted to watch, and a lot of the stuff on there just isn't retro enough. It's not like GTO is not really retro. I understand it's like, 20 years old, but like to me, it's not really retro. If it's post 2000, it's not really retro. So
that's fair. Remember, Mitz, if there's one thing I need you to watch, though, do you remember what it is?
No.
It's Bebop High School. You have to watch it, my guy. It is the most Mitsugi show I've ever seen.
And where do I watch that?
On the internet once again.
Oh, come on. All right.
I don't want to be that guy, but you gotta watch it. You gotta watch it.
All right, I will watch it for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Well, we have mailbags to do, so perhaps we should get into that.
It's time for an almighty anime mailbag. Anime.
Mailbag. All right, guys. If you want to write a mailbag, AAApodcast.com/mailbag. That's it. Muffins wrote this mailbag. Hey, AAA, how's it going? I am stuck in an awful situation. My anime addiction has really, really become worse. Well, that's kind of our goal, so it's not really all that awful.
Sorry, not sorry.
And my parents accidentally saw me watching My Dress Up Darling, and they sat through the episode in which Gojo measures Marin's boobs. Now they think anime is some awful shit from hell, which is going to destroy their, although I'm 13-year-old and totally not innocent little boy and turn him into a pervert. Well, they're probably right. You just don't realize it yet. I have so many things to say about this. What am I supposed to do? Anime is my life. Anime is my life. Those notes were that notebook was worth more than my life. Oh my goodness. Golden boy, people. Golden boy.
Oh, yes! My queen!
Anime is my life, and I can never abandon it. How can I convince my parents that anime is a good thing? Anyways, leave aside my grieving. The podcast is awesome. Keep it going. All right, well, first I'll say, if you're only 13, and I appreciate that you wrote... In fact, I think Muffins and I are homies on the Discord. Confirming. Yep. We have very deep, meaningful conversations on the Discord. If you're only 13 years old, Muffins, you have so much more to be perverted by anime. You haven't even begun to be warped and deranged in horrible ways. You will eventually become a mere shadow of what a human is normally like in the world. You will crawl in the shadows, have very dark and perverted desires, and eventually death. When I dropped the timing on that, Mason, you were taking a sip of water, and I thought you might spit, but you kept it under control. That or just wasn't that funny.
No, I was going with the tragic, solemn, like, yes, as is the fate of all otakus.
But what I'm gonna say, Muffins, is that who really gives a fuck what your parents think? I mean, really, like, if you really care, if it really matters, go show them Spirited Away or something, you know? Man. Well, if anybody ever said Dress Up Darling wasn't a perverted fucking show, this mailbag is proof that they're wrong. Because, like, normal anime viewing, like, adults saw it, and they're like, this shit is, what was the line? Awful shit from hell. And that wasn't even the worst scene.
They're not wrong.
I mean,
your parents aren't wrong.
I mean, yeah. I mean, Marin would be closer to your age, so it's pretty natural. It'd be a lot more acceptable for you to lust over Marin than me, which I'm basically like old enough to be Marin's dad at this point. So, but like seriously, you could lock your bedroom door. But yeah, anime is about 75% filth. So there's a lot of it out there. I just wonder why it particularly matters what your parents think when I know you can just go online and watch anime if you need to illegally. So, what do you think, Mason?
It's hard to defend anime being pure and no, it's really good cartoons with the review we're about to do.
Yeah.
That said, if you are genuinely concerned, it's because your parents are concerned about you. They don't want anything, whether it be violence, video games, just hobby, anything that takes over your life and is a negative influence on you. So just as long as you don't let anime be an addiction that other people can see, you got to keep it bottled up inside, then you're okay. They just want what's best for you. Like most parents, just be like, hey, I can watch this and be a good upstanding member of society and not need 18 million Dakimakuras to fulfill my inner problems.
How about just
I know we all need it, but we all pretend like we don't. That's the secret.
And as you talk about that, I am literally finding an uncensored version of Harem and the Labyrinth of Another World on the internet so I can have all the information. I'm doing deep research right now.
All the stats.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Episode 4.
Well, thank you for writing, Muffins. If you have a mailbag, leave it at AAApodcast.com, where you should do everything. Subscribing, finding the Discord, seeing what shows we're doing next. We actually put our schedule in advance. So you can be like, oh, are they reviewing? Oh, I can watch that ahead of time, and you don't have to get to this part of the review and you're like, oh, well, I didn't watch it and I don't want to get spoiled. No, go to the website, you dingus. That's where all the good stuff is.
We also need more 13-year-olds on the Discord, honestly, because I know that anime is like pretty much the biggest, like the population of people that's exploding with anime is high school kids. And so I know there's a lot of you. I know you're not listening to podcasts yet, but Muffins, he's going to shepherd you into the fold. AAA Discord. Just take their phone, man. Take their phone at school, type it into the browser. All right. Oh, boy. Yes, it's hard to defend anime as being pure and innocent when we're about to review Harem and the Labyrinth of Another World, which is about as close to a hentai as you're going to get without being a hentai. Summer 2022. It was a listener choice show. I failed it on episode 637, but narrowly, as I remember, because I thought the first 3 episodes of this show were actually somewhat compelling. And we're gonna get into that. You can watch it on Crunchyroll. And there are 3 versions of this show. You can watch the fully censored version that removes everything, or you can watch the semi-censored version, which is also on Crunchyroll, actually very shockingly, which, I mean, it shows a lot. It shows a lot. And a lot more than you'd think. And then there is a fully uncensored version on the internet that you can find if you want to. So, frankly, before we even get into this show, I don't even understand the point of watching this show censored. I think it's pretty much there for perverts, and if that's you, that's fine. If you watch enough hentai, or after you watch enough anime, I should say, you're just perverted. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you think you're not, but you are. Yeah, I would definitely watch the uncensored version because the whole point of this is that Roxanne is hot. So that's like the whole thing. So,
what version did you watch, Mitz?
I watched the mostly uncensored version on Crunchyroll. But I currently have the fully uncensored version up on my computer right now as I am sailing the 7 seas. And I don't even know how you could watch it without sailing the 7 seas. So I'm just gonna play through these episodes, and we're gonna see what happens. And I'm gonna get the full Monty here, as you say. Anyway, done by Naoyuki Tatsuya, which is a weird last name, a director of Nisekoi and Studio Passion. Based on a light novel, it is an isekai. One day, high school student Michio attempts to start a strange online game he found while browsing the internet. Instead, he gets transported to a rural village in the game's world, equipped with the special skills and an overpowered sword. After collecting his thoughts, he finds himself battling against bandits and soon realizes he cannot log out. Resigning himself to fate and accepting this reality, Michio sets out on a journey, enjoying his new life, conquering dungeons to earn money, and building a harem to satisfy his manly desires. Mason, what were your expectations when you got into Harem and the Labyrinth of Another World?
This was like a 5-part expectation list. First, you have harem in the title. It's literally the first word. So I was expecting something to be lewd. Mm-hmm. I checked the genres. It's got ecchi. I'm expecting something lewd. The promo art has some monstrous milkers in it. I'm expecting something lewd. Studio Passione, I'm expecting something lewd. They do a lot of that stuff. And you didn't pass it, but you kind of passed it. And you kind of pass some lewd things sometimes. So I was expecting something lazy, uninspired fusion of isekai and fan service that we've seen a ton of times. So I had very low expectations going into this show.
All right. Fair enough. As for me, I wasn't quite sure, really, because the first 3 episodes of this show were, I thought, pretty good, actually. So, I didn't know really where it was going to head. I mean, I knew what his perverted goals were in the show. But I didn't really know which direction it was going to go. I just kind of assumed he was going to acquire like a lot of girls and then just have sex with them all. So now, Mason, would you recommend Harem in the Labyrinth of Another World? Come on.
No.
Oh.
Is
Come
the short
on.
answer. So I agree with you, Mitch. I think this show started off very cliche, but actually somewhat strong. Like the isekai mechanics were pretty good. The way the game perceives you, you steal someone's shoes, you're marked as a thief in game. You enter a dungeon, you're marked as an explorer. Like the way that the system of the labyrinth is set up, the MP and regeneration is set up, just how the world functions, I thought was pretty well done. Like as a isekai game world, it was engaging. The violence is pretty graphic, and it has actually more impact to it than a lot of action shows these days. So I was like, okay, not as bad as I expected. Like the main character, though, you don't go into the show and immediately get unlimited carnal pleasures. You kind of have to work for it. Like the real stuff that is ecchi and starts coming through beyond just like a couple fleeting fantasies doesn't happen until episode 4. Like you have to put some work in. You gotta roll your sleeves up and get in the weeds here to get your fix, if you know what I'm saying. And the biggest problem, kind of spoilers, the show's not a harem. Like it has harem in the title, unless like you don't get the harem until like the credits roll on the final episode. So if you're in there for that, you're gonna be disappointed. If you're signing up for an all-you-can-fat buffet, you're going to be disappointed because you have to watch so much of the show of like stuff. If you're in it just for isekai dungeon exploration, like, yeah, the mechanics are kind of good, but the pace of the progress is so slow. It feels like assembling a puzzle piece upside down. It's so bland. So if you want the edginess, you have to work for it, so I don't recommend it. If you want the isekai, it's not that fun, so I don't recommend it. And if you want a mix of the two, I guess it's better than no option, but you'll still be disappointed. I don't know who comes into the show and gets out of it what they wanted, so I do not recommend Harem in the Labyrinth of Another World.
Yeah, the first 3 episodes of this were, there was a bit of he almost dies in the beginning, and it's kind of desperate for a second there. There's some pretty cool mechanics of like when your MP drops, you like basically become incredibly depressed, and it's like the most horrible feeling in the world. And I kind of didn't expect that. And then he's desperately trying to like save, but then he's trying to save money so he can buy this slave girl so he can bang her. I mean, that's pretty much the plot. And I think at the end of episode 3, he does buy Roxanne for like a ton of money. And lots of sex scenes ensue. I mean, I'm watching this as we do this review, and I'm watching episode 10 towards the end, and she's blowing him as we speak. So, by the way, like, I don't know. I'm not really sure if we'll get through this review without getting kind of explicit. So put the earmuffs on your kids. But like, this is a show that's basically porn. So I don't know. I don't know how to break it to you softly. It has harem in the title, and yeah, they're having relations in episode 10 right now as we speak. I'm not going to recommend it either, honestly. I don't think it's ecchi enough to be recommended as hentai light. I think you can just go watch hentai. It's interesting enough to be it's not interesting enough to be recommendable over other isekais either. Like there's tons of them that are just better. So I mean, and as Mason said, the progress is really slow. Like it never really goes anywhere. Honestly, he's just like going through this really boring dungeon. This video game or whatever they're doing would not be successful in real life. I mean, it is boring as fuck. You kind of just walk down a hallway till like an enemy shows up and you kill it. And they're always like really lame enemies too, from what I can tell. And this anime never goes anywhere, unfortunately. And the worst part is that they make you think it will, because the opening has like 5 girls in it, including like a cute Kakro character that I was kind of waiting for. And she never really shows up until the very, 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 very end.
And he's not exaggerating. It is as near the end as you can get.
Like within 30 seconds of the end. And so, I mean, Roxanne is hot. Like, people that watch this won't forget Roxanne quickly, for sure. But it's not really a harem, so it is kind of misleading. But there's not like a tremendous amount of stuff to spoil here, but we may as well just play by the rules.
Spoilers are coming. Oh my god!
The Twitch is giving me a little bit of a hard, I wouldn't say a hard time, but they're very surprised I didn't watch the uncensored version. I mean, the reality is that I've seen more hentai than you have. I don't care who I'm listening to. Who's listening? I've done 210 hentai episodes on this podcast. I have seen a ton of hentai. I don't really feel the urge to like, I don't know. Seeing Roxanne's breasts were enough. I mean, like, they give you that much on Verve. So I was like, okay, good enough. I didn't want to really watch it on my phone to see the whole thing. I wanted to watch it, in English on Verve in my bed at night while I'm sleepy. That's the best. That's the best right there. Well, probably the thing that's going to piss people off the most watching this is that he's buying a slave girl to bang her, which is a little hard to defend, but I didn't find his treatment of her to be bad at all. He's actually quite good to Roxanne, so I don't know what your take was on that, Mason, but I mean, I don't know. Like, some people will say, well, of course she goes along with it, she's a slave, but he's never once mean to her, so I don't know.
So, yes, he is nice to her. There is something to be said for that. I think the problem with that whole aspect, and this is not the crux of the show, but I can see why it's very problematic, is that he, compared to like Shield Hero, which is slavery exists in this world, yes, fine, but it's kind of a unfortunate consequence. It's kind of how things are, and he uses slavery as a means to quote unquote rescue someone. Like, okay, sure, that's a bit better. This guy is like, slavery, cool, and I get it. Isekai at its crust is very much a male wish fulfillment power fantasy, especially so for viewers with like low confidence. And so for slaves to be an option, it makes it so even you don't even need to be interesting or desirable. You can just literally buy the romance, you can buy success, you can buy that, like, the opportunity to have those things. And it's such an unsavory way of portraying it, where yes, slaves used to exist, you can hand wave it all and be realistic, but it was just slaves are here and it's good, it's amazing, thumbs up for slavery. It was kind of what the end game conclusion of it was. And he wasn't a bad guy, but he was very accepting of like, slavery, okay, yeah, I can work with this. And it just seemed like, yeah, it's not a great look.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to defend. I don't know. It's becoming normal. I don't know. It's not really. I feel like I've seen like 5 isekai in a row now that all have slave girls in them.
Yeah.
This one's actually like worse than Shield Hero for sure. I mean, at least in Shield Hero, he wasn't like buying her to have sex, which is like,
you just get your normal
worse.
run of the mill accidental grooming.
But like, yeah, I don't know. He could have just as easily have just like found Roxanne like in a dungeon and saved her, and then like ended up having her as a girlfriend, and then they have sex every episode, which basically is what happens. To me, the reason why this anime failed, there were 2 reasons. One, they never got around to the harem thing, and then when he did acquire another girl, like later, like late in the show, it happens like at episode 11 or something. I don't know. It just makes things awkward. Like, it's pretty clear that Roxanne is not really down for it because she wants to have him all to herself.
Which I kind of enjoyed. Like,
well, it's proof enough that she actually like cares about him beyond just like her obligation as a slave. So
I think if she was just like, yeah, bring on the other women, as it seems to indicate later on, like, it gives her some personality and believability that you would expect out of someone who's just like, this is my master, but I've grown attached to him in some way where our relationship dynamic is being messed up with. Like, that lends it such a credence, even though, yeah, it still is what it is. And the way the main character is like, she didn't object to this, so she's probably cool with it. Like, no, my dude, you kind of missed the mark there. So I liked that she was upset in some ways, even if it was very shallow.
Episode 12 is probably the most intensely sexual episode in the show. I'm not a fan of the second girl. You know, like you kind of have to discuss the girls because that's honestly, let's be real, that's the point of this whole show. If Roxanne is a 9 out of 10, and she probably is, then the other girl is a 5. That's my opinion. But Roxanne's just like very, I don't know, she's very sexy and like very cool, and pretty kind of has it all, sort of. And the other girl is just like too much of a little girl. She's just like Roxanne looks like a woman, and the other girl looks like she's 14. So I don't know, it just doesn't really, I don't know, it didn't really work for me very well.
It was very surprising that Roxanne was put on sale. Like, she seems like perfect in so many ways for this guy.
Yeah.
Like, why was this guy like, oh, here's the slave? It's like, oh, sure, why not?
Well,
I mean, I'm not saying it in a judgmental way. It was just was this dude just like, oh, I got like the best person of all time ever for you. Here you go.
yeah.
Like, it seemed a little wild. But it's bad when the only good thing you can say about the second character is that, at least she's not as young as others I've seen in this deplorable situation.
I mean,
well,
yeah.
that's a win in my book. It's like, well, it's just not a loss. But it wasn't the cat girl. Where was the cat girl? Come on. We all wanted her.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Raptalia has got nothing on Roxanne, if you want my opinion. It's kind of not close, actually.
Well, Raptalia wasn't designed inherently to be a sex slave. So,
well, no,
she
clearly
actually
not.
is a person.
Well, she's also a slave, though.
Sure, but
and is looted dramatically by the entire anime community.
Absolutely, but that's different than the slave trader in the show saying, well, naturally, she's been trained as a sex slave. Like, okay, like, at least they don't hide it. At least they don't try to be coy about it, which is not, once again, not a win, but...
No. In any event, I wasn't a fan of the second girl. And the real issue there is that the other girls never really show up. And actually, until the end of the 12th episode, I kind of thought to myself, like, okay, we're actually going to get like a sequel probably, where he'll eventually acquire the harem, and maybe the story will open up more and be about more than just walking down a hallway and knifing some poor little rabbit and taking his pelts and then like going and selling the pelts so he can buy like a bathtub to like have sex with his girls in. Rather than that, they just kind of, I'm looking at the, I'm like kind of skipping ahead here in the timeline. So the cat girl is the third girl, and she shows up at the 22-minute mark of the 12th episode. So literally as they're rolling the credits, she kind of appears.
R.I.P.
And because they just kind of force-fed all those other girls to you during the credits, it made me think this probably won't get a sequel, which is kind of incredible because, one, I think a lot of people watch this, and two, I'm going to check that. I'm going to see how many people watch this. But two, almost everything gets a sequel. Like, I'm not like clamoring for the sequel or anything. It's 200,000 people. Yeah, this was probably one of the number one watch shows of the summer. I'm gonna check that right now. It was there were a lot of big shows in the summer. It was the 12th most watched show of the summer, but it was like the third or fourth most watched new show. But I don't think you're gonna get a sequel. I don't think it's coming.
Oh, drat. Oh, no.
Yeah, it doesn't matter because it's boring. Like nothing. Like,
yeah.
Yes, Roxanne is very nice to look at. Yes. I don't know if you're into horny things.
What else is there?
If you're into horny things, Roxanne has got it all for you, and that's going to be enough probably to get you through the show. But it's just outside of that, it was just kind of offered nothing. How do you think they get the watch? So he buys a bathtub late in the show, and then goes through great effort to fill the bathtub.
Yes.
This is a hilarious scene.
It is kind of funny. So essentially, he uses magic to produce either the water they need for the tub or the heat they need for the tub. The problem is he doesn't have enough magic to do all of it needed for this massive bathtub. So
Yeah.
like mid doing the bath, he needs to go to the labyrinth and bop some enemies on the head to like recharge his magic to finish taking a bath.
Yeah.
Like that is funny in concept, but it is incredibly tedious to watch like in the show. Like this show, especially in the middle portion, dragged so hard. Like there's whole episodes where they figure out how to defeat a tree without using a weapon. If you're like, wow, that sounds boring, it's even worse. Like the monster variety is just like a tree,
Yeah.
a tree, a tree, a caterpillar, a tree and a caterpillar and another caterpillar.
rabbit.
Like it's the most copy pasted thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And they're going to these labyrinths with like Tower of God levels, like 100 levels, and they're going through the first 2 to 5 of them. Like there's
Yeah.
nothing. And the best part is the ending of every show. Not like the ending as in the end minute and a half music and credits. Like the way that each show ends is the most like plain and flat thing. Like there's no hype for the next episode. They'll just be fighting a rabbit and a gem will fall out and they'll be like, "Oh, look, it's a gem." End credits. And you're like, should I care about that? Is that supposed to get me invested? Like they're like, and okay, that was about 22 minutes. Let's wrap it up. See you guys tomorrow. Like it was amazing. The pacing, how bad it was.
So Alana B saying in the Twitch says, "Can we talk about all the bathing?" Yes. Well, actually, so we will discuss that. But in regards to the bathing, I want to know how they got the water out of the bathtub, because there was no drain on the floor that I saw. They didn't even know what a bathtub was, and as far as I can remember. So it's not like they built a room with a drain in it. So you got like a 200-gallon bathtub, kinda, pretty much, right? Enough that you could like, it's like wider than your body all the way across. How'd they get the water out of the bathtub?
Oh, I just assumed it was Roxanne's like Konyus were just big sponges and they just slurped up all the water.
All right, so now back to the bathing, because they do bathe every episode after the tub gets introduced, which is like episode 9 maybe. And I'm watching episode 12, and it's the scene after they get the second girl. And Roxanne is just a pro at this point. I mean, she is basically like ready for a soapland. She's giving him basically a soapland bath in episode 12, where her entire body is just covered in soap, like a lot of soap on Roxanne, and she's basically washing Michi. Is it Machio or Michio? I can't remember.
It's Michio.
Machio's from the stupid weightlifting show.
How heavy are the dumbbells? Yeah.
Yeah. So she's washing Michio with her breasts, right? Which is, I don't know.
Classic. Okay,
classic.
No problems.
What you would do at a soapland, and she's having a lot of fun, smiling, blushing, and then they show the cat girl, or not the cat girl. She's like a dwarf or whatever, and she is like mortified watching this, and her face is like she's gonna explode. She's so stunned by what she's watching, and then he's just like, "Can you jump in and like take the other side? Can you make like a Michio sandwich?" And it's just insane. I kind of wish he would have taken their collars off. Like, I get that they're fetishistic, but
yeah,
like I don't think the collar is probably required. And Roxanne's not really going anywhere. I mean, she definitely got a better life now than when she was in a freaking cage. So I don't think she's gonna like run away. I don't know, but like I feel like they don't really need to have collars on. Like you could at least do that for them, because they don't look very comfy and not very stylish either. But
yeah. Maybe you could argue with the whole her being like a dog girl could act as a collar thing, but no, this is like a consistent trend across all slaves.
Is she a dog girl?
I think that was pretty clear. It was like wolf dog.
Yeah, I'm not 100%
Clearly
sure
what they were going for.
But yeah, so it was kind of disappointing that this anime never really kept up with the sorts of promises it made at the beginning. There was a lot of the desperation that there was in the beginning. I think it was episode 2 that was so strong. And after that, it never really went back to that. It was just mostly about Roxanne, which, I mean, it's not that shocking. It's just like, of course, he's just going to like want to have sex with Roxanne every episode because he's like 16 and is probably the horniest person in the world. And
I didn't mind the main character at the beginning because he was like intelligent in a way. Like he is in this new land. He's like, okay, I know like basic sword skills and I can observe people. And I can't log out of the game. Let me try this. Okay, I'm going to try other reasonable things. I'm going to see how this spell interacts with this spell. I'm going to see if I can use this spell with these special walls. Okay, I'm learning. And like he picks up on things really easily, explains them. And that was great. But like I said, he picked up too quickly on the acceptance of slavery. But overall, it was strong at the beginning. I liked the MC, but then it came from how can I survive? How can I make a living? How can I succeed in this world to I can buy slaves? Yeah, I'm going to do that. And that was just every episode was how can I do more sex slave stuff was eventually the end game. So the beginning was strong. I agree with that. Production-wise, it was a mixed bag. A lot of inconsistencies scene to scene where like someone will remove their clothes and then the next scene the clothes are back on and then the scene after that they're back removed. There's some bad math where he's like, I have this many items in my inventory. If you count the items in the inventory, it's not the number they say. Some of the action scenes in like the Labyrinth are stiff as hell, but they clearly put all their budget into animating unclothed body parts. So like they knew where their Sakugo was going and that looked okay. So
I will say you're, as an anime fan listening to this, you're begging for hentai to look this good. To be honest, Mason and I've seen a lot of hentai, and if this was a real hentai, it would look better than almost any of them. So, I understand that the budget here is much bigger than probably for the average hentai, which sometimes seems barely animated. But I did feel kind of bad about the. He spends a fortune on Roxanne. It's like I can't remember, like 600,000 or whatever the currency is.
Nars,
and then Nars, and then the other girl, he gets her for like 200 or something. So
yeah, he's like, he has like a 30% discount flat rate no matter what. He's like throwing an outfit, and he haggles down a bit. Like I don't know.
And then
it's so tasteless.
It's tasteless. Yeah, the point was that like the other girl's worth 1/3 of what Roxanne was. And then at the end, it's just kind of funny because he's like, this guy, he's got a lot of stamina. I mean, he basically bangs them in the bathtub, and then like 8 minutes later, they're getting ready to have sex in the bed. I mean, I guess it's probably not that unrealistic, considering
he's got the vigor stat boost though.
He doesn't need it. He's 16. He just had a second girl join him. He's ready to go. He could probably go 10 times. But like he starts making out with the purple-haired girl. I hate that this review is so like lewd, but like how am I going to talk about the show? It's
what are you going to talk about?
scenes.
The copy paste tunnels and enemies. Like the second that the slave system is introduced, besides like a tub arc in the middle of the show, like nothing else happens.
Anyway, at the end, I'm still on episode 12. I'm on 17 minutes now. And he starts making out with the new girl. I can't remember, Sherry or whatever. What is her name? Is it Sherry?
I think it's Sherry.
Wow. It's amazing I remembered that. Who, by the way, looks... Holy fuck, bro. If you go to my anime list and you look up the manga for this, or the light novel, I guess, whatever, and look at the characters, Roxanne, she looks somewhat normal. She looks about the same. As she does in the anime. If you look up Sherry, she looks 4 years old. Honestly. Like, she looks like a 4-year-old in the manga, or in the light novel.
I am seeing this now. This is an example of anime making changes to the source material for the better.
Yeah, definitely would need to. But he starts making out with Sherry, and then he's like, oh shit, Roxanne says that she always wanted to be first, and she's kind of standing there with like the dark like shadow on her face, like she's mad. Mm-hmm. And he's like legit terrified of her. and he's like,
that's good. I like that.
He pulls some bullshit where he's like, and of course, as the number one sex slave, Roxanne will get to go last. And then Roxanne just somehow buys that story. She either buys it and she's dumb, or she realizes that he's trying to like make up for it and lets it go. And then he falls down on the bed and he basically acts like she was gonna gut him. I'm just like, And it's just like, okay, fine. But wow, this is very yeah. Well, the only thing I can say is that I'm just glad he wasn't he wasn't like abusive to them. That would have been pretty rough to watch. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's bad enough as it is, but like, you know,
as the chat says, his morning and evening, oh, you got to kiss me every time I wake up and every time I go to bed rule, like stuff like that, where you're just like, come on. Like,
yeah, he's very insecure.
In
this shot of the Sherry at 18 minutes is definitely, she looks way too young. But yeah, I'm just glad he wasn't like over like super abusive or whatever, because it could have gone in that direction and it really didn't.
Yes, fair.
But ultimately, I'm just going to score this. We went too long already. There's not much else to say. Most people turned this off already a long time ago, because the minute I started talking about titties and stuff. But that's like, I'm sorry, that's what this anime is. And by the way, the listeners, you picked it. You picked this.
You put this evil on us, Ricky
I did
Bobby.
the right thing. I failed this. Oh, man. Yeah. I wish I could just give a score for Roxanne. I give Roxanne 4.5 epic fucking dog girls out of 5. But this anime is only going to get 2 different labyrinths that you got to see out of 5.
Yeah, that's very true. The isekai was pretty boring after the beginning. The comedy was flat out not there, besides a couple scenes. And the ecchi is solid for what it is, but it's just kind of infrequent and tainted with, as we talked about, pro-slavery themes. I will give this a one-girl harem out of 5. There was just one. There was just one.
And I will say that I didn't feel like I was suffering at all watching this. It went pretty quick.
I mean, it was an easy watch. I'll give it that.
It was easy. It's light. Boy, Sherry's really going crazy on the bed right now. Oh, boy.
And with that was
with
another episode of the Hentai Addicts Anonymous podcast. Thank you so much for listening. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, Discord, TikTok. Please join us where we stream live every Sunday on Twitch. But most importantly, go to AAApodcast.com, where you can get the links to the Discord, the bonus content, and all the other juicy stuff that we love from you guys. Thank you so much for suffering through with us. Let us know what shows from winter you're excited for. Don't forget to fill out your top shows of 2022. The link is in the everywhere. Wherever you're listening to this, there's a link somewhere. Next episode is a review of Call of the Night. So finally, something that Mitsuki didn't pass or have a hand in passing. And,
what? I didn't have a hand in passing Harem.
You've passed like the last 4 shows.
It's because people pick. It's because that season, every single listener choice was mine.
You give them the power, my dude.
I'm just sad Caroline wasn't here for this review because
she would have, the jelly bean count would have been off the charts.
Yeah, it would have been wow. Yeah, she'd be diabetes for sure. Diabetes this episode for sure.
Anyway, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
We're probably doing an after party because this did a hentai episode. So, all right, we'll see you guys. Bye.